I really enjoy reading. I love studying English. I'm really interested in learning more about other countries. He is bored when he has nothing to do. They are interested in football. The boy is excited when I give him food. She is fascinated by music. Studying English is interesting. I'm not interested in history. I hate TV documentaries. I'm not really a fan of music. I don't like living in a big city. I don't enjoy watching television. I hate traveling a lot for work. Susan isn't interested in English at all and she thinks it's a complete waste of time. I don't really like Peter's parties. He always invites boring people. I really don't like our seminar classes at university. Because none of my classmates prepare for the classes. And everyone is too nervous to discuss the topic. It's a waste of time. My wife absolutely hates her job because the work is boring. Her boss is an idiot and her salary is terrible. Many parents thoroughly dislike bringing their children to parties. Because they have to spend all of their time looking after the kids. Rather than relaxing and having a good time themselves. I like playing tennis very much. I don't like shopping very much. I really like reading romantic novels. I really don't like going climbing in the mountains. I really enjoy studying English. I like going to the seaside and swimming in the sea very much. I enjoy my job very much. I always read the Sunday papers. I rarely go to fast food restaurants. I never read the Sunday papers. I often listen to music. I frequently go to bars with my friends. Usually I play football on Sunday. Sometimes I go to nightclubs. I occasionally read a newspaper. I listen to my MP3 all the time. I play football on Sunday morning every once in a while. I have friends from time to time. I drink alcohol once in a blue moon. I hardly ever play video games. I don't always go to the university canteen to eat. He doesn't often socialize with friends. I don't go to expensive restaurants with friends all the time, just occasionally. How often do you read books in English? How often do you go to expensive restaurant? How often do you go on holiday with your friends? How often do you watch American films? I always play basketball after work because I can keep fit and socialize with my colleagues. I don't often go to the cinema because it's too expensive. I can't socialize with my friends very often. Because I live in a completely different part of the city. I would like to read more books but I can't because I don't have time. I don't usually have the chance to hang out with my old friends. Because I recently moved to a new city. I don't have the chance to read long novels because I am so busy at work. I don't often wake up later than 8 a.m. because I don't like to lie in bed late in the morning. I can't drink coffee with breakfast. Because it makes me nervous and it isn't good for the stomach. I sometimes have the chance to go to the theater in the evenings. Because my girlfriend can occasionally get free tickets. I usually hang out with my friends on the weekend. Because it helps me relax after the working week. I particularly like my hometown's food. I especially love attending my psychology lectures. I especially like walking in the countryside. I really like meeting new people. I particularly love traveling as part of my job. I really like living with my classmates in our dormitory. I really love snowy weather. Parallel structure means making sure that the series of words in a sentence are in agreement or in line with each other. My mother particularly likes to dance, go out to restaurants and spend time with the family. There are many things that I like about Ted Holiday. We all watch television, light fireworks outside the door, and sing song together. He especially loves walking and riding his bike through the rice fields. I really love to hike, swim, and ride my bicycle. There are so many things I love about my jobs. My workmates are great. We do a lot together in our free time. We often go drinking in bars. dancing karaoke bars during the weekend. As a student, I enjoy learning new things, meeting my friends on campus, and studying in the library. I like to exercise every day, play sports and study in the park. I really like my math teacher, but I like my science teacher more. My major is history, however, I find art class more exciting. Although I study hard most of the time, I always find time for fun on the weekends. I enjoy learning to play the violin, though it is difficult at times. Besides cooking and painting, I often do other activities like singing and hanging out with my friends. She is my classmate as well as my best friend. I love running in the park. I also run in the gym. I enjoy a lot of things about being a student. But the thing I like most is the opportunity to meet lots of clever, thoughtful people. I like my city because it is old, historical and also a friendly place to live. I love the winters because of the snow, ice and clear skies, as opposed to the awful summers with hot dry air. As well as being a modern, clean and fashionable place to live. I really like my hometown because it's so interesting. Although I'm generally not a very social person, the thing about working life I enjoy the most is going out lunch and dinner with my workmates. My job offers me lots of opportunities to be creative and work in a team, besides having flexible working hours. In general, a lot of elderly Vietnamese people like drinking tea, though there are some who don't like tea. Traditional Vietnamese activities such as playing chess and drinking tea are still very popular with elderly people in Vietnam. Bikes are not as popular as they were a few years ago. Now, bikes are mostly ridden by poor people and adolescents at school and college. The bus is mainly popular with student white-collar workers and traveling to and from work. Most wealthy people tend to have their own cars and take taxis everywhere. The majority of teenagers listen to pop music at least once a week. I believe a lot of people will decide to study abroad in the future. Not many elderly people are interested in basketball. Only a small percentage of students have their own cars. In my opinion, very few poor people have the chance to study English. A lot of Vietnamese people regularly play badminton when they are young. Not many women play golf in Vietnam. The majority of single Vietnamese people like to listen to music. Very few students at my university play table tennis. A small percentage of rich people ever ride a bike. In general, people in India like to eat spicy food. Generally speaking, English people don't really learn many other languages. As a rule, the older generation tends to more traditional than the younger generation. Most people in my country tend to enjoy playing chess. As a rule, football is more popular with boys. Generally speaking, Vietnamese people eat a lot of rice. More often than not, university students play sports very regularly. Men tend to like watching sport together. In general, rich people like to drive cars. Winter is probably the worst time of year. There are no leaves on the trees, the weather is freezing cold and the people are not happy. Spring is the most beautiful time of year. It's lovely and warm and the flowers are all in bloom. Summer is a more suitable time of year to visit Phu Quoc Islands than any other seasons. It's the only time when the weather is not cold, but actually quite warm. The most pleasant season in which to visit Thailand is most certainly spring. In late March and early April. Winter is the best time to go skiing. The spring is the most fun time of year to go climbing in the mountains, because it's not too hot and not too cold. Flying a kite is the most enjoyable thing to do in summer. The height of summer is the warmest season of the year to go camping. Quang Tri is undoubtedly much hotter than Nha Trang in the summer months. I would advise tourists to avoid Quang Tri at the peak of summer. The train will arrive at 9 a.m. The streets are always busy at Christmas. I'm often late to work on Mondays. Peter gave Helen a call on Friday. She said she would give you a call in the evening. For me, Australia is far too hot in the summer. I usually start to feel tired by 10 p.m. All the leaves on the trees will have fallen by November. The best time to do exercise is during the morning break. Not many people like to visit Quang Tri during the summer months. The park is a really quiet place to study until about 5 o'clock. When everybody finishes work. I like swimming in the sea until late September, after that it gets cold. The most exciting time to go skiing is in the middle of winter. When the snow is really thick and fluffy. The best time of year to climb mountain is certainly at the beginning of spring. When the air fresh and cool, not too hot, not too cold. When it is really hot, during the summer months, it is a great time to go swimming in the sea. In Scotland, in March. I like to go walking in the hills. This is the best time for this kind of sport. It's not fun in January or February because of the rain. The time when people give presents the most is certainly at Christmas. However, in Vietnam, I think most people give presents on people's birthday. The cold weather is good for making ice sculptures. Evenings at home are great for relaxing and listening to music. Spring in Beijing is ideal for hiking along the Great Wall. The day before a big national holiday is ideal for throwing a party. The combination of mountains and lakes near my hometown provide the perfect conditions for camping in the summer. Summer is ideal for swimming in the lake near my town. The snow provides the perfect conditions for skiing and snowboarding. Fall is good for hiking in the hills and looking at the red leaves. The mountains and rocks provide the perfect conditions for rock climbing. The summer weather is ideal for beach volleyball. The best time to do exercise depends on people's lifestyles. The availability of train tickets during the Tet holiday depends on the amount of people traveling. Finding a good job depends on having good qualifications. Being happy doesn't necessarily depend on being very rich. Creative describing somebody who enjoys making new things. Social describing somebody who is outgoing and enjoys talking to others a lot and meeting new people. Energetic describing somebody who is very active and enjoys doing physical things. Family-oriented describing somebody who prefers spending time with their family. Studious describing somebody who studies a lot, even in their free time. Apathetic describing somebody who is not interested in or concerned about anything. Curious describing somebody who is interested in new things and learning about different ideas and opinions. He is very energetic young man. He loves all kinds of sports that involve running around or doing adventurous outdoor pursuits. Alice is very social. She spends a lot of free time going to dinner with friends, hanging out in the bar near campus and meeting new people. Apathetic people tend to be quite lazy about life and like sitting around for long hours watching soap operas on television and doing things that don't require much thought or energy. I'm a very curious person. I'm very intrigued to learn about different cultures and different opinions. I like to read about world philosophy and religion sometimes. Daisy is very family-oriented. She spends nearly every weekend visiting her family and seems to prefer that to going out with friends. He is a very studious person. He sits in the classroom till the early hours of the morning, just reading and taking notes from his textbooks. I think gardening is a very therapeutic activity. Being outdoors helps people relax and feel good. I think cycling is a very healthy pastime. It's better for you than running. Reading about history from many different sources is very informative. Most people agree that everybody should go to university because studying is good for the mind. Studying helps broaden our horizons and stretches our brain. The last time I went swimming was a few hours ago. The first time I ate insects was in the summer of 2007. The last time I played basketball was when I was at school. On my 25th birthday, I went to a Japanese restaurant with my friend and colleagues. My grandmother gave me the computer as a present last Christmas. I went to Thailand on vacation about 2 years. My parents often go abroad during the summer. I finally passed my driving test in 1997. The party I attended was really exciting. I'm not used to going to parties with people from lots of different countries. So it was fascinating to see how everyone behaved. It was surprising to see so many people having different conversation at the same time. The last time I went on holiday was really depressing. If I'm honest. It rained the whole time and my mother got sick. It was upsetting and frustrating. Because I don't have much time off work and rarely get holidays. I used a computer for the first time when I was in middle school. I found it really embarrassing because my classmates all knew how to use one but I didn't. The last time I went to the cinema was about 3 months ago. My friend and I were really excited about watching the new movie. But in the end it was really annoying. Because we had to queue up for a long time to buy the tickets. And the film wasn't that great anyway. The first time I visited an art gallery was in 2005. My family all went together. And whilst my parents were not impressed with modern art, for me it was intriguing because it was all so new. And it made me consider things I had never really thought deeply about before. I last had visitors to my home just a few days ago. They were my and my husband's university classmates, and it was great because their conversation is so stimulating. And their company is really enjoyable. We talk about everything and anything and we always have so much fun. The first time I used a computer was on my 12th birthday. When my uncle gave me a laptop as a present. It was so thrilling to be able to use this brand new technology to surf the web, play computer games and chat to my friends. The last time I went to a party was last week. There were lots of foreigners there who I didn't know. Although the atmosphere of meeting lots of new people was exhilarating, it was really quite frustrating because I felt that I couldn't express myself in English very well. I practiced playing the guitar 3 evenings a week. I didn't learn to swim because when I was 10 years old, my grandfather showed me how to make. On my 8th birthday, I found out how to. During the Tet holiday, my father taught me to. About 2 years ago, I learned how to play. I went to the swimming pool every other day until I could swim. I had classes with my trumpet teacher about twice a week. From time to time, my aunt would teach me a little Spanish. I first started learning to play the piano when I was 10 years old. I played it every day for a couple of hours. I got to grips with using the internet quite quickly. Nobody taught me, though I learned by trial and error. When I was a child, I went to swimming lessons twice a week during the summer holidays. Now, I go to local pool in my city on a regular basis. I was taught to cook by my grandmother. I was taught to write by my father. I was taught to ride a motorbike by my uncle's friend. I learned to play the violin from Mr. Jack, my teacher. I love to make short films with a video camera. I learned to use it from my friend. I was taught to make bread by my mother, who was a fantastic cook. I was taught by my brother, who was very impatient. I learned English from 2 really good teachers in middle school. They were both very patient and kind. I learned how to sing from a friend of my father, who was a friendly, creative woman. I learned to use spreadsheets by trial and error. I was not taught by anyone. I got to grips with them pretty fast. Because I'm quite good at anything related to mathematics. I was lucky because my parents gave me the chance to. I was very fortunate that I had the opportunity to. It's a shame I didn't have enough time to. I wish I had had more ambition and patience when I was younger. Then I might have learned to do. She has invested lots of money in this project. The government has spent lots of money on public transport recently. The traffic situation has become a lot worse in the last few years. In recent years, people have cut down a lot of trees in Hanoi. My university campus has undergone a lot of changes in the past few years. In recent years, fashion has become much more interesting and stylish. My town was small, now it is quite big. The streets used to be very quiet, now they are noisy. The shop sold poor quality clothes. Now they sell the latest designer fashions. Before, many people ate at small eateries, but now people choose more expensive restaurants. When I was a child, everyone in my town had to shower in communal bathrooms in the street. But now most people are wealthy enough to have their own modern bathrooms. Before, many people went to small shops to buy groceries. In recent years, big supermarkets have become very popular. In the past, the suburbs didn't look very attractive. Now, because the government has planted lots of trees and plants, the area looks very pleasant. In the past, it cost a lot of money to buy airplane tickets. But recently prices have gone down and air travel is more accessible to everyone. My city is prettier than it was 10 years ago. The food is so much better and much cheaper than here in the capital. I really don't like the expensive food here. Since they built the high-speed train, I can travel home to see my parents on weekends very easily. It's about 5 times faster than the older train. In general, people are a lot more fashionable today than they were years ago. I think it's because they have more money and enjoy buying nice clothes. As a result of all this rapid growth, food is considerably more expensive than it was 5 years ago. I would improve my bedroom by putting posters on the walls. I would make my living room cozier by buying a new sofa. I would improve my flat by getting a new wardrobe. I suggest the government improve the air quality by restricting the amount of cars in the city. I suggest the school authorities improve security by building a wall around the playground. I suggest they make the city more attractive by planting more trees and flower beds. I would improve my area of my office by cleaning up some of the mess and being more organized. I suggest they improve the public transport system by building a few more subway lines. I would make our canteen better by suggesting they vary the menu more. I would have the windows made bigger. I would have the walls painted different colors. To make my daily routine a bit more interesting, I would do some kind of sporting activity in the evenings. To make my living room more homely, I would put a bookshelf in the corner and some plants. To let more light in my house and create more space, I would have the balcony extended. Then my university campus would be warmer. Then my dorm would be more attractive. Then life would be more convenient. Then my living room would be more comfortable. Putting up a few pictures on the wall would make my dorm more attractive. Installing a new kitchen would make life more convenient for me. Buying a new sofa would make my living room much more comfortable. Hanging up some pictures and tidying up a bit would make our flat much cozier. Getting a larger memory for my computer would make it more powerful and faster. We should spend more money on urban planning. Then our city would be much easier to get around. Eating fresh fruit and vegetables is very important. I don't think art is terribly important for young people. Learning to swim is incredibly important. Mathematics is considerably important. Art is especially important for children. A good education is particularly important in modern society. Physical exercise is important for everyone, but it is especially important for older people. If they don't exercise, their bodies will become more and more rigid and unhealthy. I think it depends. Art is important in life to some extent. But I think there are many more things that are much more important. Like earning money and having a stable life. I don't think art is important at all. Art is quite useless and is a luxury, not a need. In my opinion, all forms of art are completely unimportant in life. Especially for young children, I think art is incredibly important. It can help them learn about the world around them. And help them learn about colors and shapes. These are vital for children's development. I think there are many things in life that are more important than art. But I think art is fairly important in making the world we live in more beautiful and interesting. Gardening is important for helping people relax. Working out in a gym is important for keeping fit. Having massages is good for helping people calm down. Drinking hot milk is excellent for solving sleep problems. Listening to music is a good way to help people calm down after a stressful day. Doing physical exercise is a good way to keep fit and healthy and happy. Swimming is an excellent way to release a lot of energy and maintain a good figure. Running regularly is a good way to stay slim and strong. Playing team sports is important for helping children to learn to work together. Doing individual sports like cycling in the country help us to relax the mind and keep the body in good shape. All form of physical exercise are excellent for maintaining a healthy heart. I think reading is fairly important in life. Reading can help us to increase our vocabulary and general knowledge. Art is so inspiring. Visiting art galleries is very enriching. Learning to play musical instruments is educational and creative. Painting and drawing can teach children to be more expressive. I think history is a tedious subject. Learning about modern art in school is frivolous and unnecessary. Most art is also very pretentious. I think it's great to get involved in adventure sports. They are really exciting and stimulating. Going to art galleries and museums with one's partner can be a really experience. And educational as well as little romantic. It's good to teach children how to paint and draw. All kids should learn creative skills from an early age. I find watching films from other countries very inspiring. It's a great way to get to know different cultures and their way of expressing themselves. Some people feel that teaching things like art, drama or music in schools is frivolous. They feel that more serious academic subjects are more important for getting ahead in a future career. This is something I really hope to do. I would like to be a really successful businesswoman. I would like to achieve this ambition because it would be so rewarding. If I succeeded in doing this, I would gain an enormous sense of security. If I work really hard and save up enough money, I will go to Europe and get a master's. I hope to be able to go abroad after my studies. I hope to be able to work in an international hospital. I hope I can pass my driving test. I hope I can convince my parents to buy me a car. What one really hope to do is travel around the world. What I really hope to do is learn to speak Greek. I would like to marry the girl I met in the cake shop. I'd like to become the best pool player in Asia. I would like to have the opportunity to study overseas. I would like to have the chance to fly an airplane. I hope to have the fortune to be able to go to Australia. I hope to have the chance to go diving in Thailand. In the future, I would really like to travel in the desert. When I finish the university, I hope to volunteer for a year for the Red Cross. What I would really like to do when I am older is live in a wooden house in California. I hope to have the opportunity to go fishing in Lake Tanzania. What I'd really like to do learn is another foreign language. I would like to achieve this ambition because it would be so rewarding. I'd love to fulfill this dream because it would give me a great sense of achievement. It's my dream to succeed in learning Japanese. I would love to manage to get into art college. I would love to manage to get into the university basketball team. It would be amazing to fulfill this lifelong dream. I really want to succeed in doing this. It would make me so proud. I am pretty confident that I can achieve my ambition by working hard. If I'll work hard, then I will be top of the class. If I'll train every day, then I will become the best player in the team. If I'll make sure I have the discipline to study more, I will pass the exam. If I'll party too much, then I will certainly anger my parents. If I'll save enough money, I will travel abroad. If I'll give my friend enough help, he will overcome this difficulty. If I pass the test, I will go to England on vacation. If I achieve my ambition, I will be so proud of myself. If I manage to do everything I want before I'm 40 years old, I'll have a really happy life. I will be so delighted if I fulfill my dream and travel to the moon. I believe that many people in my country are very hard-working. In my opinion, people don't get enough holidays. Nowadays nearly all students have access to at least one computer. Most bosses get paid far too much. It's a good idea to learn more languages in school. Everyone should get paid more. I think that a large percentage of people over 30 don't exercise enough. I feel that people should do more to help others in society. I strongly believe that team sports like basketball teach people to work together. I am quite convinced that the majority of people would enjoy playing hockey if they just gave it a chance. The way I see it, sports should be compulsory for elementary school students. In my opinion, most children naturally enjoy physical exercise. I think that too many people nowadays don't exercise enough. In my opinion, it would help most people to join a neighborhood sports team. To play football or basketball a couple of times a week. Most people will complain of stress, but I'm quite convinced that if they just got out more and played some sports, it would help enormously. The way I see it, it would be beneficial for companies to organize sports teams and outings for their employees. I strongly believe that it would increase employee efficiency. Most young people can play at least one sport. The majority of elderly people enjoy board games. A large percentage of the population smokes too much. Nearly all university students get far too much homework. A vast amount of business people don't get enough free time. A tremendous amount of young girls care too much about fashion. A tremendous amount of young people don't get enough money and time to travel around the world. In my country, elderly people, in general, like to do exercise regularly every morning. A large percentage of famous people don't get enough freedom and privacy. Nearly all students are given far too much homework. The majority of parents today don't give their sons and daughters enough privacy. To get really good at football, you should practice every day. You really ought to see a doctor if you feel that ill. It would be good if everyone learned to play baseball when they were young. It's not a good idea to run outside in the winter. You'll catch a cold. It would help to train a little bit every day if you want to run a marathon. The best thing to do to improve creativity in schools would be to introduce art classes in the early years of elementary school. Everyone ought to join a sports team, even if it's just for fun. The best thing to do to make sure people get more holidays is to put pressure on companies to abide by the labor laws. It would be good if students learned how to swim competitively at a young age. Kids don't get enough chances to do this nowadays. Many people don't pay enough attention to what the professionals say. You should consider hiring a personal trainer if you want to lift weights. It's not a good idea to over-exercise. Some people exert themselves too much. It would help if everyone used public transport instead of driving. Too much traffic clogs the roads and pollutes the air. You can buy newspapers and magazines at newsstands around my town. I surf the internet to stay up to date with what's going on. It is a well-respected source of information. Today, blogs online are a very popular way in which everyday people put their news, opinions and thoughts out for other people to read. A lot of free magazines fund themselves by charging businesses to display their advertisements. The most convenient places to buy newspapers or magazines are newsstands or kiosks on street corners. I enjoy reading the features in magazines for young people. I like the short stories about student life, or the articles about how to deal with certain emotional or social problems young people may face. I usually surf the internet while drinking my morning coffee. I've seen a lot of old people in parks, browsing through newspapers on warm sunny morning. My grandfather always watches the evening news reports. Every morning on the bus to school, I listen to the radio broadcasts. I don't read, watch or listen to the news much, but I'll find out a lot from my friends by word of mouth. I believe it's good to keep track of what's going on in other countries. I don't like to be ignorant about world news. I keep up finger on the pulse. Online news is a good way to stay informed about what's happening in the world. I am too lazy. I don't really care about staying abreast of current affairs. I am not interested in current affairs. I like to stay up to date with the sports news though. Taxi drivers often listen to the radio to stay on top of what's going on. I listen to radio broadcasts on world service to keep up to date with what's going on in the international news. I occasionally browse through the local newspapers to keep abreast of current affairs in my province. I watch news reports on a small TV in my dorm because I like to keep my finger on the pulse. I hate not knowing what's going on around me. I love to surf the internet, reading sports blogs by fans and experts. It's a great way to stay informed about which teams are in the lead. I am pretty lazy. I don't pay much attention to the news. I find out about major news stories through word of mouth. It's a very objective source of information. It's quite unbiased, so I generally believe what I see on that news channel. I believe that the information presented there is impartial. I trust that newspaper because it is very well respected. I don't like internet news. I think it can be very biased. It's considerably one-sided in its approach to discussing international affairs. It's an untrustworthy publication. I find the news channel a little unreliable, to be honest. In the internet age, objective news is hard to find because everyone has their own opinion and writes what they think, not what they can prove. The newspaper my father reads is very well respected. Nearly everyone agrees that it's a good, impartial, trustworthy read. If I think a news channel or radio station has a reputation for being untrustworthy, then I won't pay any attention to it. If we can't really rely on a source of information, we usually say it's unreliable. As I see it, people in my country often work too much. All workers deserve to be provided with a fair salary. If workers are treated fairly, they are usually more loyal to their company. The workers are given 3 weeks holiday every year. The children were allowed to wear casual clothes last week. People today are not provided with enough benefits. People who work longer hours deserve to be paid more money. Workers ought to be treated more fairly. Women ought not to be discriminated against at work. Children should not be allowed to work until they are 18 years old. Employees should be permitted to wear casual clothes to work. Fathers should be given extra holidays to spend time with their family. All workers deserve to be provided with a safe working environment. At the moment, workers are given a bonus if they work hard. I firmly believe that workers who have to commute a long distance to work ought to be provided with a transport bonus. I think that a person who is lazy at work and makes too many mistakes should be given some form of punishment. On the last day of every school year, I think children ought to be permitted to wear casual clothes and have relaxing, fun classes. The doctor informed me that I should get more exercise and eat more fruits. For me, workers who are sacked for misbehavior or poor work don't deserve to be given money when they leave. If we travel to work by subway, we usually get there quicker. If I go to music concerts, I always dance. If workers are late, they get into trouble. If people are given more paid holidays, they are more loyal to their company. If children are allowed to play computer games too much, they get really lazy. If young people are made to wear uniforms in school, they are generally better behaved. If children are made to wear warm clothes in winter, then they are less likely to catch colds. If we punish students who are rude or behave badly, they are more obedient and attentive in class. When people have the chance to learn languages at an early age, they often learn very quickly. If older people are given access to computer training programs, they usually understand the younger generation a bit more. As a general rule, people drive more carefully. If there is a strong police presence on motorways, learning to play a musical instrument is incredibly hard for some people. In the beginning, speaking English might seem hard, but after a while it gets easier. Once you get used to a new language, you pick it up quickly. I think it's incredibly hard to learn to play the trumpet. I am under the impression that it's remarkably easy to play card games. I believe it's exceedingly frustrating to learn to play the violin. A lot of people say that learning Russian is unbelievably challenging. It's incredibly hard to learn to play the drums well. It took me 10 years. I believe that to master a language to the point when you can speak it fluently is unbelievably challenging. It's one of the hardest things in the world. Learning to drive a car is fairly frustrating at first, but pretty easy to pick up if you keep trying. It's remarkably easy to learn to ride a bike. I learned in 20 minutes when I was 7 years old. Czech pronunciation is very awkward to learn. I find it hard to be understood clearly when I speak. At the outset, learning to drive a car can be quite frightening. But after a while it becomes pretty easy. When you start playing the violin, it seems incredibly difficult and doesn't really get any easier until after the first few months. I don't think Susan is going to get used to working in such a small office. Ask the sales manager to talk to his team, please. We really need to get to grips with our after-sales service, as it isn't good enough. While I lived in Barcelona, I picked up a little Spanish. It doesn't take long to get the hang of driving a car. After a few weeks it will be pretty familiar. When you start off it's quite difficult, but after a while you find you start to get better and more confident. Computers are relatively easy to get the hang of. You don't need a lot of skill or practice to master the basics. Learning to bake cakes is not difficult. At first you make a few mistakes. Then after a short time, you start getting to grips with the basic techniques. Experts say that in the beginning it's incredibly difficult to fly a helicopter. But when you've got used to it, it's fairly simple. When you first begin to learn to swim, it's really scary and difficult. But after a few weeks of lessons it's not that difficult to get to grips with it. Violent movies are inappropriate for children. Eating fast food can be detrimental to one's health. Vegetables are excellent for one's health. Yoga is relaxing and therapeutic. Vigorous sports are usually unsuitable for elderly people. It is suitable for young people to many before the age of 25. Tai Chi is particularly suited to retired and elderly citizens. Riding motorbikes is inappropriate for very young children. It is inappropriate for very young children to ride motorbikes. Doing yoga is advisable for people with back problems. It's advisable that people with back problems do yoga. I think it is inappropriate for teenagers to go to nightclubs. Yoga is suited to people who are stressed. Working outdoors is especially appropriate for people who like nature. I believe it is totally inappropriate for young children to work in factories. In my opinion, it is inadvisable for children to drink alcohol at a young age. People should be very careful when swimming in the sea. Inner-city traffic can be dangerous. Elderly people who are not used to playing sports may injure themselves. Certain drugs might be detrimental to people's mental health. Smoking can cause cancer. Sitting too close to the television is likely to lead to eye problems. Working too many hours can have a negative impact on one's family life. Being too direct and honest can sometimes hurt people's feelings. Trusting people too much can lead to being tricked. Doing vigorous sports can cause you muscle injuries if you are not careful. Drinking too much beer might be detrimental to your health if you do it in excess. Increasing traffic on inner-city roads is likely to lead to heavy pollution in summer months. In moderation, playing computer games can be constructive. If not abused, alcohol can be enjoyable and good for the health. If we don't do it in excess, then weightlifting can be great for building strength. Older people get a personal trainer. Regular exercise can be excellent for their health. If done under supervision, vigorous exercise, adventure sports can be safe. If we make sure we do it carefully. Riding motorbikes can be a fantastic way to travel in the mountains. If done in moderation, drinking alcohol can be a good way to lower inhibitions and get to know people in social settings. If a person is responsible and careful, then living alone away from home at an early age can be a constructive experience. If done under supervision, contact sports can be very good at building teamwork skills in young people. Skiing can be a fun and safe sport, if we make sure we don't take unnecessary risks in the beginning. If we don't do it in excess, then eating lots of cakes and chocolates a good way to lower inhibitions and get to know people in social settings.